We have our 8 for Omaha, and that means one thing, folks. The Men's College World Series is here. This week, days from now, we will be at Charles Schwab Field, Omaha, and the greatest show on dirt will commence. And we are delighted, as always, to be joined by one of the voices of the Men's College World Series. Mike Monaco is with us here on Dugouts, Dumbbells, and Dingers. He, along with Ben McDonald, Eduardo Perez, will be half of the broadcasting duo this week for ESPN. Carl Ravitch, Kyle Peterson, Chris Burke will handle the night games. Mike and his crew will be on the day session. Mike, as always, delighted to have you with us. I believe this is year 6 for you going to Omaha, right, at the College World Series?
Sounds right, David. Yeah, man, a blast going there every year. Can't wait to get out to Omaha. And we got a great field. It's been 2 great weekends. I was in Chapel Hill for regionals and in Athens for supers, and fired up for Omaha like every year.
Yeah, absolutely. The field is tremendous. We'll get into all 8 of these teams. Bracket 1, the top of the bracket, West Virginia, Troy, Ole Miss, and North Carolina. 2 first-timers, 2 relative, regulars at the College World Series. Bracket 2, Georgia, the highest remaining seed. Texas, who's been to Omaha more than anybody, 39th trip all time. Oklahoma, Alabama, 5 teams from the SEC. First time that's ever happened at any conference. Most teams, any conference ever in the Men's College World Series. Couple of housekeeping notes before we get into things with Mike Monaco. First, shout out to our sponsor, Home Field Apparel. They provide quality, thoughtful apparel for more than 200 colleges and universities all over the country. They've got all 8 teams from the Men's College World Series. Go get yourself some Home Field Apparel. Mike's familiar. I'm familiar. We love Home Field Apparel. They're the best. Rep their gear. Go there. If you're going to Omaha, Home Field Apparel will be there. Go to their booth, grab some stuff, and support all 8 of these teams at the Men's College World Series. Also, breaking news on the podcast. Mike, we mentioned this is year 6 for you in Omaha. It will be year 1 for yours truly. I will see you in Omaha this year.
Congrats, man. That's awesome. I know you've wanted to be there. That's wonderful.
Yes, thank you. I'm very excited about it. We will be heading out there. We're recording this on Tuesday night. I'm leaving tomorrow afternoon. So we'll be there through the entirety of bracket play. We'll leave before the championship series, but I cannot wait to get out there, see you in person and everybody else, and just experience the magic of Omaha for the first time. So very excited about that.
Good for you, man. That is awesome news. Yeah, I know we had talked about that in the past, and fired up. You'll be out there. Special place for sure, and you get to experience it.
Yes, cannot wait. So let's get into these 8 teams that are going to be giving us the specialness of the Men's College World Series. Mike, you were just in Georgia. You fed the trees in Athens. You had Chapel Hill for the regional, or as you called it, Chapel Thrill. And then you had the Georgia Super Regional in Athens. First things first, before we get into the Georgia Bulldogs, and there's a lot to get into with them, when is the last time you have gone down an inflatable slide? Because you asked Ben McDonald that on Sunday, and he was like, oh, dude, like last week. And you're like, I don't know. I can't remember.
The last time I went down an inflatable slide, I really don't know. Nothing is coming to mind. Okay. Water slide last year at a bachelor party, but it wasn't inflatable. At least to my knowledge, it was not inflated. But yeah, I guess I need to rectify that if Big Ben's going down them all the time.
I mean, listen, the opening ceremonies at the Omaha Zoo, maybe there's a slide over there for the kids. I think you need to go down there. You and Ben McDonald can race and see who gets down there faster. I'm assuming this was the bachelor party for the wedding that you had to perform the gritty at, right?
It sounds right.
Okay.
Yes, I believe at that point there. I had a couple weddings and bachelor parties last year, but yes,
okay.
Quite possibly.
All right, well, there we go. We'll say it was. You didn't get thrown out of the booth by KP for doing the gritty during a rain delay. We're glad you're still here and still with us and going to be on the call for ESPN. All right, let's get into this Georgia team. I know you won't have them game 1 or game 2 really for you in Omaha, but highest remaining seed left, their first trip since 2008. I mean, we got to start with the hitting, and it all comes from Daniel Jackson. That guy is a bad man. Catcher, nearly a 30-homer, 30-steal season. First time that's ever been done by anybody. And, I mean, he's unbelievable to watch.
He is. He's incredible. It's in many ways the year of the catcher, whether it's Von Lackey or Ryder Helfrich or Chase Freilich or, guys we're going to see in Omaha, like Jimmy Janicki and Gavin Kelly and Daniel Jackson. I mean, it felt like that might have been a Golden Spikes Award signature moment. You know, in college football, we talk about a Heisman moment. Like, was that his Golden Spikes moment? Maybe it was. We'll see. Certainly good candidates, and we've talked about that all season. But yeah, special players, special offense. I'll be curious, like everyone, like how does the offense translate to Omaha? And if the wind's blown in from right field, like we often see, how does the team with the lowest ground ball rate in the country fare? Now it's real offense. It is real everything. Like, you know, we had this home run derby there for 2 games over the weekend. And yes, they play in a bandbox that, by the way, they don't shy away from saying that they recruit to it and they build their roster and they handle the transfer portal based on that. But still curious to see how it plays out for that offense out there. But man, what an awesome team. In my eyes, they were kind of one of the 3 or 4, you know, like not super teams the way we've had with LSU or Wake or Tennessee through the years, but man, pretty close to it, like with UCLA, Georgia Tech, and Georgia. And I think each of those took different shapes. I think North Carolina's probably in that tier. Maybe Texas is in that tier. Might have just flown under the radar for different reasons a little bit. But Georgia is certainly the most famous team that we have in Omaha this year.
Yeah, they certainly are, and for good reason. SEC regular season champs, SEC tournament champs. They smoke through the regional and the super regional. I mean, and beating a Mississippi State team that went toe for toe with them, it was just Georgia hit more home runs, basically. It was the long and short of it. You mentioned something about the Bulldogs, though, that I think sticks with me. 1 through 9, like there's no break in that lineup, and even when you substitute out a guy like Trey Phelps, he was suspended for game 1 of the Super. You just plug in Michael O'Shaughnessy, and he steps up and does what he does and hits bombs. Like, I think that's very emblematic of this Georgia team because there's just anybody that Wes Johnson can just go, okay, you're out, I put you in, and we're just as good, right?
Yeah, Ryan Black in the 9-hole. He had a huge hit in game 1 to kind of start the comeback in some ways. Colby Branch is sitting in your 8-hole, and he's up to what? 19 home runs, I think, this season. I mean, he had the 2 home run game in game 2. It's pretty crazy. And yeah, you had Michael O'Shaughnessy lying around who had been hitting 3-hole for a lot of the season, especially recently. And then he goes through a 5 plate appearance stretch where he struck out all 5 times. They go away from him. And the only reason is most people listening to this know is the only reason he gets back in there is because Trey Phelps gets ejected Sunday of the regional. O'Shaughnessy homers in that game, then has 2 massive home runs in game 1. So it certainly does speak to their depth offensively. It's very impressive what they have. And again, like they go out and they get people that fit what they're going to play, the style they're going to play, the ballpark they play in. And it has paid off in a big way. And they got other dudes who were not in the lineup who, you know, Jack Archimone ended up DHing the first game. There were a couple other candidates that Wes Johnson was sifting through, and you watch those guys take BP and you're watching balls fly and thinking about, man, like how deep is this lineup?
Yeah, seriously. I kind of liken Jack Archimone to Ben Lumsden of West Virginia. It's like you put them in the postseason and they just click. And you don't know why, but they do, and you'll take it. Let's talk about the team that, first of all, actually, before we get to Texas, we have a lot to talk about with them, too. Are you a sour power guy? Are you buying in on the sour belts?
I've never had it. It looks great. I'm all for it. It's very fun. I didn't grow up near Buc-ee's. I've only been to Buc-ee's once doing a college football game. I was not fortunate enough to be graced by the presence of sour power, but it looks great. I'm a little nervous. Wes Johnson, you know, whatever, chipped his tooth the first time that he went for it this season. So I think I would tread cautiously. But yeah, you got to give it a try.
I did not know the story about the chipped tooth. When I interviewed him at the end of the SEC tournament, he was draped in sour belts just all over the place. And it was great. I also do need to tell you, you have to try the Buc-ee's brisket sandwich because I heard you mention you haven't had that yet either. That is the signature item. Yeah. So you need to get that done. All right, on to Texas. 39th trip all time, most of any team ever in college baseball. But it's been 4 years since this Texas team has made it back to Omaha. Isn't that kind of weird to say that this team who just goes all the time just hasn't been here since 2022?
Yeah, it is. I mean, they've been there so much. You know, last year's team certainly could have been there, and everyone knows like what happened with them in UTSA. It certainly had the ability to get there. Certainly had the pedigree in the season last year for being in the SEC year one under Schloss. I think it's exciting that anytime Texas is there, that in many ways they have so much of this great college baseball history. So excited for them and their fan base that they get back there, and excited to see them at some point, either calling it or just watching them. Because I haven't had them this season, but to see what Dylan Volantis is all about and see what Riojas can do and Cozart in the bullpen. And then, I want to watch Robbins and Tenney and Pack just like anyone. But yeah, man, it's a really, really good high-end team, of course. And that's going to be a big-time showdown Saturday night.
When you look at Texas, who, by the way, Georgia hasn't seen this year either. Amazing that Georgia has not seen the 3 other SEC teams in their bracket the entire year. Like, how does that happen when you have 4 SEC teams in the bracket too, and Georgia hasn't played Texas, Oklahoma, or Alabama? But when you look at Texas, you just mentioned their rotation. I mean, it's lethal. Volantis, Riojas, Harrison, Cozart back at the bullpen. Then you got Pack, A-Rod, Robbins, Tenney, like Borba. The lineup is hellacious for teams to face. What scares you more if you're an opposing team looking at this Texas team?
That's a good question. I mean, it's hard to say anything is scarier than 1-2 in the lineup of Robbins and Tenney. So I think I would probably lean there, and that's to take nothing away from Volantis and the rest of the pitchers. I mean, it's scary to face Dylan Volantis. I think it's going to be an interesting matchup. Like, Georgia has struggled by their standards against left-handed pitching this year. They're the best offense in the country in terms of OPS against right-handed pitching. It's a little more human, still elite, 20th in the country in OPS against lefties. So how do they match up with Volantis? And yeah, you said it, they haven't faced him. I was talking with Ryan Wynn, who plays second for Georgia before the Super even began, and we were talking about like best arms he had seen this season. And I wasn't thinking about their schedule, and I was like, what about Volantis? And he was like, well, we haven't seen him this year. And so excited to see that they get to match up with one another. But yeah, it's hard to pick between the two.
I just find it hard for anybody to match up with Dylan Volantis, because when I think of facing that very high release point from Volantis, it's almost like, those Olympic diving boards that are so high up in the air, and you're not staring down, you're staring up at the board, and you're looking like that's really high up. Like, that's Volantis' release point. I've never seen anything like that. Have you ever seen any pitcher that throws from that high, that hard?
I would have to think. I probably have, but it's you're exactly right. Like, it is over the top. It is overhand. It is pitchability. It's a variety of pitches. Snap off the curveball from there, and then he'll shapeshift too. Like, he'll just all of a sudden kind of drop down and go crossfire, which some of the Texas pitchers kind of do whenever they want. Like Max Wiener, who I think is brilliant as a pitching coach, I think empowers them by all accounts to try new things. And so, yeah, but the customary arm slot for him is certainly not easy to hit against.
Yeah, it's not. As Mike Monaco joins us here on Dugouts, Dumbbells, and Dingers ahead of the Men's College World Series beginning on Friday. West Virginia and Troy will be the lid lifter, followed by Ole Miss, North Carolina. Then it's Alabama, Oklahoma on Saturday. Texas and Georgia will finish off the first game of all 8 teams here at the Men's College World Series. Let's get to Alabama and Oklahoma, 4 SEC teams on bracket 2. Mike, you will have the call of this one. Let's start with Oklahoma. First trip since 2022, runner-up for the Sooners that year to Ole Miss, who's also here in Omaha. It's kind of funny to call them the Cinderella with Troy here, but I almost think that's accurate, right? Like 11th in the SEC, nobody gave them a prayer to win the Atlanta Regional. Dayton Taki walks it off against Georgia Tech, and then they just go into Lawrence and steamroll Kansas. And you go like, who expected the Sooners to be here, but yet here they are, and you would know as well as anybody, I mean, it's about being hot at the right time, and I don't know if there's anybody hotter than Oklahoma.
Yeah, they're rolling. I would agree. I mean, what their offense is doing right now. I mean, you look at what their offense did pre-NCAA tournament, and then since the start of the NCAA tournament, it's crazy. And it's an offense that, has drawn a lot of headlines for a chaos-style offense, as they call it, with the OU written in there under Reggie Willits. Well, now they're hitting home runs. And, that wasn't the MO of this offense this year. And yeah, started in a big way in Atlanta and has carried over. So they're certainly rolling. I think it can be easy to forget, like, this was a team that was ranked top 10 in the country earlier this season. So they've had good moments. It's just been not always a linear path. And if you listen to their players talk, like Dayton Taki said it after they finished off Kansas, part of the reason why they had the record they did in the SEC and the ranking or the standing that you mentioned at the end of the conference season, they played a really hard SEC schedule. So they said they went into some mean environments, as Dayton Taki put it. And, you're battle tested from that. And so you go to Georgia Tech, and they were the team that played more free compared to Georgia Tech, for sure. And Georgia Tech had the pressure on it, and Oklahoma didn't have in that way. I think their pitching is fascinating too. Cam Johnson was at either the number 1 or number 2 starter all season long, and doesn't get them an out in regionals or super regionals, and yet they're in Omaha. I mean, that's crazy. They're throwing 2 freshmen in the 1-2 starting rotation spots. Cannot wait to watch Cord Rager. I would assume that he's going to go Saturday afternoon in that one against Alabama. Big 6'6" lefty throwing 97. It's a lot of strikes. Like it's not really raw. It's a lot of strikes from Cord Rager. Xander Mercurius. I think LJ Mercurius is pitching really well right now in the bullpen. I wouldn't go as far as to say probably that they're more of a Cinderella than Troy, but I do think, to your point, man, it's been uneven and very similar, I think, to 22 when they lost it to Ole Miss. They're playing so well right now. And in some ways, they're not the team that you expected. They could have been a 3 seed. I think D1 Baseball had them pegged as a 3 seed and not a 2 seed for regionals.
What if you could throw MLB-style pitches anywhere without breaking anything? Introducing the Borgoball. Designed by former Division I players and a small family-run brand, this foam baseball is safe to use anywhere, including indoors. Featuring raised seams that mimic a real baseball, you can feel and see the spin of a 12-6 curveball and a sweeping slider, or watch a sinker plummet to the plate. Time to turn your space into a mini baseball diamond. 4 packs are available for just $20, but the family fun backyard memories, those are priceless. Use code BORGO10 for 10% off your first order at backyardbaseballbros.com today.
No, they did. And the interesting part that you bring up about the pitching, first of all, you go from the Witherspoon brothers to the Mercurius brothers. That's apparently Skip Johnson just has an affinity for really good pitching brothers, Kyson and Malachi, and now LJ and Xander. Sure, whatever. But yeah, the mixing and matching that Skip Johnson's able to do is what fascinates me most. And I know he's an incredible pitching mind, but he can just pinpoint these guys at different times in the rotation, put them in the bullpen, put them in the starting rotation, and it just works. I have a near and dear place in my heart for Skip, just because he's just so fun and fascinating to listen to and see how he matches up these different guys, and it just works, man. And I think you kind of can say the same for Rob Vaughn as we transition to Alabama. First trip since 1999, which, Lance Cormier, Jeremy Brown were on that team. Now Lance Cormier is broadcasting for the SEC network and watching his kid play for Auburn. So, but you look at Alabama, you want to talk pitching, let's talk Tyler Fay, because it's going to be Cord Rager and it's going to be Tyler Fay on the other side. And Tyler Fay, I think, maybe outside of Dylan Volantes, is the most fascinating pitcher in the SEC that I've seen this season. I don't know if you agree with that, but just watching him deal has been really, really fun.
Yeah, I can't wait to watch him throw. And, sinkers, bottom of the zone, and the way that he does it. It's real stuff, and it's a varied mix. It's great pitchability. He's famous, obviously, for having the no-hitter earlier this year. And a Nebraska native. He gets to go home. He's from 2 hours away from Omaha. A guy who started as a walk-on, who was redshirting at Alabama, who is married to his high school sweetheart, gets to go pitch in the College World Series in Omaha, and gets to pitch on a Saturday game 1 to open things up for an Alabama program that, man, they got a ton of momentum under Rob Vaughn. Really excited to cover them. But what a cool story that is with Tyler Fay.
Yeah, it certainly is. And talking about their offense, obviously the hit heard around Tuscaloosa was the Brady Neal home run against Oklahoma State to kind of cinch the regional, and then in the supers they had those 2 massive Titanic home runs to kind of just end a really great season for St. John's. But it kind of seems like that offense, it can be a juggernaut, but it's almost timely. So you mentioned with Georgia, will their home run hitting offense, their low ground ball rate hitting team translate to Omaha? I kind of wonder the same thing about Alabama, because you need those timely hits, but their timely hits have been home runs. And as we know, the Chuck is not a homer-friendly ballpark. It's doubles or nothing.
Yeah, I'll be curious. I mean, they were 14th or are 14th of the 16 SEC teams right now in runs per game. And that to me is the best catch-all metric for offense, really, as far as teams go. Like, how many runs are you scoring per game? You're right. It's not a lot of home runs, tied for 12th, I believe, in the SEC with home runs with Oklahoma. But man, like, Justin LeBron, Brady Neal, like those guys, take my chances with those guys in the lineup. And maybe Justin LeBron can play more free at this time of the year. I think maybe to some extent you've seen that. I'll be eager to talk to him when we get to sit down with him on Thursday and hear about his story and what really these last 3 years, but in particular this year, has been like. I'll be very curious to see what their offense can do. And going up against a freshman on Saturday.
Yeah, it's gonna be electric to watch. All right, let's get to bracket 1. We got a few more minutes with Mike Monaco here. Very busy schedule for Mike as he preps for 8 teams. He's got 4 officially, but he may call some other ones, so he's got to be ready for everybody. So bracket 1, you've got West Virginia and Troy, the lid lifter in Omaha. Let's start with the Mountaineers. Steve Saban's, his first 2 seasons have been incredible in Morgantown as the head coach. 11 years there overall, but Big 12 regular season championship last year. 2 regional wins in remarkable fashion. Hosting and then winning a super this year, and he brings the program to their first ever trip to Omaha with now 46 wins, a program record. We talk about offenses that are scorching hot right now. 29 runs in the supers against a really good pitching Cal Poly team. Like, this West Virginia team is firing on all cylinders. I don't care if they haven't been to Omaha before. Like, they are going to be an absolute menace to take out.
Can't wait to watch him. Can't wait to watch Gavin Kelly, certainly, as far as star power goes, a guy who very well could be the first overall pick, at least as it stands right now, next year. I want to watch Armani Guzman stealing bases, and I feel like he's coming alive with his bat. He just had his first home run of the season. I'm excited to watch him. Super talented player. Paul Schoenfeld, man, if you look at the highlight reel of Paul Schoenfeld catches this year in center, it's ridiculous. And then Chanson Cole, I can't wait to watch him throw in presumably game 1 for them on Friday. Man, like, I was watching his start in the supers against Cal Poly, and I think he maxed out at 88. Like, it is sinkers, it is a slingy arm slot, it is right on right changeups whenever you want them. I cannot wait to watch him throw. And for a program that's had so much success in recent years with D2 transfers, and I saw that firsthand in their super 2 years ago at North Carolina with Derek Clark. Was recently, I was catching up doing a Cardinals game and talking to JJ Weatherholt about that. Man, it's really impressive the success they've had with D2 guys, and can't wait to watch Cole.
Yeah, Derek Clark, Griffin Kern, Chanson Cole, I mean, the list goes on and on. Like, they have loaded up and become a kind of a D2 powerhouse, and just getting these guys and turning them into absolute studs. And you mentioned the Cardinals, JJ Weatherholt. Well, Victor Scott got a text from Armani Guzman after he tied his single season steals record in this game 2 of the supers, and Armani said, "One more, buddy, I'm coming." so we're gonna see if he breaks that record. I imagine he will at the Men's College World Series. They're gonna face the Troy Trojans, also making their first trip to the Men's College World Series. And there's 2 things to touch on here. One, we have to start with they're calling him Jabe Borov. I mean, the guy's unreal and a tremendous story. He wasn't even hitting in May, and then he just comes in and is dominant in the postseason. 12 for 26, 6 homers, 18 RBIs, 9 runs. How do you encapsulate what Jabe Borov has done for this Trojans team? Because I think without him, they're not here.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can make the case that him and Dayton Taki, like, are those the hottest hitters going into Omaha? Maybe. Yeah. Have they had the biggest swings for their respective teams? Probably. On at least the run to get here over the last couple of weekends. I mean, it's incredible. I was looking at his exit velos. Like, if you look at what he does impacting the baseball, and granted, he hasn't done it over the course of a whole season. He's basically only played in half their games this year. But it is far and away the hardest contact on the team. If he did it the whole season, he would be making the hardest contact of anyone in the Sun Belt. It would be elite level for what he's done. He's basically averaging 94.5 miles an hour with his exit velo this season. Now, like, he ran into a heater here, but can it continue? We'll see. And man, like, some of his home runs were so similar over the course of the last few weeks, like really kind of dropping down and leaning back and just launching. How does that play in Omaha? But there's certainly not a more fun nickname going around for a player than the ones going around for him and Jay Baruth and all of that. What a fun part of what is team-wide an amazing story.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can't wait to hear you interview Skylar Mead, because that man is a man of the people. And I'm sure you're going to have an amazing in-game interview with him in game 1 on Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. local time. Let's go to Ole Miss and North Carolina. We can kind of loop these two together only because they just pitch. Like, these two teams just pitch. And you got Ole Miss, you got Taylor Rabe, Cade Townsend, Hunter Elliott, dudes in the rotation. Walker Hooks is as locked down as they come as the closer. And then North Carolina, I mean, it all starts with Jason DeCaro, but they got so many guys. I mean, Cole Glauber he can start, he can close. Walker McDuffie, Matthew Mateus. Like, I mean, I could just list so many different dudes from North Carolina that can come in and deal. So, like, when you look at this matchup, I know you're not calling this one, but when you just view it from a fan perspective, and you saw North Carolina in the Chapel Hill Regional this year, how do you kind of look at how this will play out when you have two teams that can just pitch as elitely as both of these teams do?
I think North Carolina has been under-discussed this year for how good they are. It is, year after year, one of, if not the best pitching staff among power conference teams in the country. If you look at the last 3 years of college baseball, power conference programs, North Carolina has been the best pitching staff over a 3-year span. They also have a really good offense, and I think they can beat you offensively in a lot of different ways. Now, it feels like we say every year an offense that can do that might be better suited for Omaha because, like we keep talking about, it's not as home run prone as most people listening to this know. But that doesn't necessarily always seem to play out that way once we get there. Like, I do think power and big contact and loud exit velos, like, I think that still does play. Now, North Carolina does have a ton of that. And so I think they've been slept on. They have a really good lineup. And then, yeah, the pitching that you mentioned is second to none. Brian Gaines does an awesome job. Scott Forbes and his staff getting those guys to campus. They do such a good job with getting the high school pitcher there. And, I mean, it's pretty well documented that Jason DeCaro came a year early from high school. Caden Glauber, who you mentioned, did the same. Like, they're doing an awesome job of getting premier guys to campus. So I'm excited to watch those two guys. Ryan Lynch has been really good over the last couple of weekends. He was very good in the super regional. And I saw him be very good in the regional, I should say. And then Walker McDuffie can go to him in the bullpen. I think the format fits North Carolina's pitching staff very well in Omaha, where the toughest of the 3 weekends for them pitching-wise is in a regional, because they do lean so heavily on their 5 or 6 best arms. Jackson Rose, Matty Mateus, Folger Boaz kind of rounding it out to 7. But in this format, I think it really helps them with how much they lean on their heavyweight pitchers. They've been slept on this year, North Carolina as a team. Like, they are every bit as much of a national title contender as anyone else there in Omaha.
Yeah, I would say that really all 8 of these teams, like, they're obviously the last 8 standing, but you look at it and, like, people go, okay, like, not Troy, but yes, Troy. Like, Troy can pitch with the best of them, and Jay Boroff is on the heater of all heaters, so, like, all 8 of these teams could theoretically go and win it all, and it wouldn't surprise me, which is why I love this field. Brand new field from 2025. All 8 of the teams getting knocked out in the regional round or earlier, or not even making the tournament. So now we have a brand new field, and it's exciting to watch. Mike, I know you got to run. So we'll close with this one. Give me your top pitcher, hitter, and defender that you're excited to watch this week in Omaha.
Ooh, that's a good question. Let me just get the teams in front of me by name just so I can think about it. You know who I'm excited to watch throw? I guess the first one that comes to mind. I already mentioned Cord Rager. We talked about Volantis. I'm excited to see Hunter Elliott. 5 years of college. Mm-hmm. And I remember talking to him when he was a true freshman and remember calling him starting the national championship winning game. I'm excited to see what he does. I mean, the numbers this year are not as good as what they were last year. But he'll kind of have it for a few innings, and then there will be an inning where a little bit goes off the rails, but he'll work through it. That's kind of been the story of his season, listening to Mike Bianco. I'm excited to see what he can do. As far as a hitter goes, Justin LeBron, Gavin Kelly, a couple names that came up earlier, Robbins and Tinney, guys I haven't seen with my own eyes this year. I'm really excited to watch what they can do. And I'll give you Paul Schoenfeld in center for some of the catches he's made. We've seen some amazing catches. The first ones that come to mind are from Tennessee outfielders the last few years. Hunter Ensley and Kavaris Tears just banging into walls. And I think Paul Schoenfeld very well might end up doing something similar in one of the games that West Virginia plays out there.
Yeah, I would imagine so. There might be an imprint of Paul Schoenfeld's face in the center field wall before we're all said and done. Hey, Mike, listen, really appreciate the time. I know it is a very busy week getting ready for 8 teams, a lot of which you have not seen this year, but you just saw Georgia, you saw North Carolina, and you're getting to see the other of these 6 this weekend starting here at the Men's College World Series. Really appreciate it. And I hope your golf clubs make it safely to Omaha as well so you can swing the sticks on the day off. And we will see you at the Men's College World Series here coming up in a few days.
Thank you for having me, David. As always, pumped you get out there. Can't wait to see you out there. And thanks for having me on. Always great talking ball.
All right, he's Mike Monaco, one of the voices of the Men's College World Series for ESPN. The Men's College World Series starts on Friday, 1 p.m. local, 2 p.m. Eastern, and we will have plenty more coverage when we touch down in Omaha on our next episode of Dugouts, Dumbbells, and Ding.